Good afternoon. One of the first sessions of this afternoon. Thank you for coming out. I hope you had a good lunch. So, my name is Amandeep Nagra. I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager. I'm joined with Jeroen Lebon.
Yeah, my name is Jeroen Lebon. I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager for Citrix. I started at Citrix 5 years ago as a sales engineer for mobility.
And we have Josh Judd from us, from One Oak, one of our customers. And we're very thankful to him to join us on stage today. And we'll have a nice chat with him as we conclude some of our presentation. So if you don't ask questions, we'll get to him more quickly. All right, let's get going. So first things first, the whole non-disclosure agreement. I had to show it. So yeah, I wanted to set the theme up, like like how things have changed. So a long time ago, we just had the workspace was your PCs, and those PCs were where we would live in, the virtual apps and desktops, and then some regular good old Windows 7 or Windows earlier version, which I don't remember because I've never used any. So all those, we used all of those, and that was our workspace. And then things changed. With this PC, which the locally installed apps where we started our day, that changed and became the browser-based apps. We started having a lot of apps that were cloud-based. They started moving to the cloud. There were some web apps. There were some, even intranet apps. But web-based app became popular, and the proliferation, started for the SaaS apps. And before you knew, there were too many of those to manage. And final nail was with the Office 365 apps and even the Windows 10 moving to the cloud. And now your PC is no longer the center of your workspace, because you got content as well as your identity as well as your apps, everything on the cloud. And not just cloud, it's hybrid. So your all sorts of security and user experience and visibility controls that you had put into your data center no longer hold as effective, because a lot of the things you don't have visibility on now, because there are a lot of disjointed apps living in different places.
Aman, that sounds really complex. All these tied in of applications, users, laptops. How will the Citrix Workspace help us with that?
Yeah. So that's a good segue into what I wanted to talk about, is that these point products start from, like, if you have to manage all sorts of now different devices, there are these MDM solutions out there. If you want to look at the identity, there are identity providers out there, productivity apps providers out there, your application delivery on the network, as well as application delivery and security on the cloud through secure web gateways. There are tons of solutions out there which may or may not talk to each other, and that causes complexity.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So Citrix has been, in the business of delivering apps and fixing this, complexity. But with complexity, there are additional challenges. Additional challenges to the tune of rising IT complexity. Obviously, now you have to manage a lot of things on-prem and cloud. So there's rising complexity, more time spent just to keep the lights on, and increasing business risks as well. But the user experience doesn't improve, because now we have to remember so many logins, where to go to this app, where to go to that app. But Citrix can help with the help of Citrix Workspace, Citrix Networking, and Analytics. They're all tied together, and we'll walk you through how. But I know this session is for how UEM can help, and how UEM is, as part of the workspace, can help you deliver that experience. And it is tightly integrated with Citrix Workspace. So we know all these modules, as per us, are part of the Citrix Workspace. But within this, we believe that apart from like VDI that you guys have been using, the networking, the NetScaler, the Citrix ADC that we've been using for some time, access control, analytics, content collaboration, you've been using all those. UEM, we believe, is also one of the important modules of Citrix Workspace. And now we'll dig into how, a little bit more into how UEM can be of, help to us. So why is UEM relevant? In today's day, we believe that 80% of the Fortune 500 companies, they're actually in the middle of their Office 365 migration still, because of they have AD on-prem, the AD on the cloud, and the hybrid mode, tons of issues. 70% of the Fortune 500 are also still rolling out Windows 10. They haven't completed that project yet. And with the proliferation of these mobile devices, what we kind of don't talk about enough is that these mobile users are vulnerable. They are, and including me, I click on more links when I'm on phone, but I'm more cautious on my computer. So, and the mobile traffic is really driving the internet growth. We look at a lot of YouTube, a lot of Netflix, a lot of corporate information through our mobile phones. And organizations are allowing BYO. This is obviously a phenomena that is well recognized. But the number of attacks, because the bad actors also recognize that this is how the traffic is moving, the number of attacks on mobile users are also growing in terms of phishing or ransomware attacks. This is a recipe for a perfect disaster if we don't, kill it where it is starting.
Yeah, and that makes the case very clearly on how UEM provides additional value to the workspace.
Right.
So we talked about how this adds value to the workspace. So now let's have a look which 3 problems our customers are currently facing and IT has to solve. So one of the biggest, of course, is Office 365. And user mobility and apps and data cloudification comes as a good second and third. So Office 365 is not like any other regular cloud application that we have. So for example, if you have Workday or another cloud application, users will access them natively to the cloud and use them a few times a day or a few times a week. But Office 365 is mainly the #1 productivity app that a user has. So you need to solve the migration to the cloud. You need to do seamless authentication to get a better user experience, and Aman will come back to that later on a little bit. And you need to secure all your corporate data, and of course you need to find the balance between the security and the experience for the user. So on user mobility drives mostly by the choice that users have on devices. Every user decides which device he wants to use, which device he's familiar with. And securing and management of these endpoints become more and more important in that workspace where corporate data and private data live next to each other. So securing endpoints is definitely a thing you need to do when you go to the modern workplace. And security and privacy concerns, as I mentioned before, needs to be in balance to provide a better user experience. Data loss and leakage prevention is, of course, one of the things that UEM can solve for you in that new workspace. And don't forget the cloud's app sprawl, right? Applications live everywhere, you mentioned it before, and there is no perimeter to guard, right? Apps live everywhere, and it's basically just a place where the user can do his job. PC is no longer the center of use, and not enough visibility, and one place to manage and launch will provide a single sign-on and access and security in that apps and clouds data cloudification.
Click here.
Yeah. Okay, thanks. So what do customers miss out by not solving these 3 items we just talked about? Poor user experience. You will get poor user experience if you don't provide single sign-on to that new workspace. Visibility and manageability will be poor because you need to go into all kinds of management consoles to get the same result as you can get with the workspace currently. And you have a lower security posture for all the devices, identities, applications, and data you use in the cloud. If you don't do that, you probably will be ending up being under attack, and devices and users will be compromised. So let's take it another step further. If we look at the pillars of the Citrix Workspace, and we touched a few of them already, one of them is security, one of them is experience, and one is choice. I will dive into a little bit more on security, and Aman will guide us through the experience and choice. So I mentioned it before, security starts at the endpoint. So device encryption of all the endpoints you have, iOS, Android, macOS, Windows, and all the other future endpoints that will come in place, needs to be encrypted on the device level. So Citrix Endpoint Management has all these capabilities in them. And one of them, as an example, is the Windows 10 BitLocker policy we provide. So you encrypt the complete Windows 10 endpoint and deliver the apps and the data and the connectivity on top of them later on. For Mac, of course, we have the file vault policy. And next to security policies, what the file vault and the BitLocker policies are, we also provide a lot of user experience policies. And think about users that are roaming several offices with several Wi-Fi access points and certificates are in place. You don't want the user to do that manually. So we provide Wi-Fi policies to make the user experience better. And that same goes for VPN policies or corporate applications that need to be configured. So the Citrix Endpoint Management solution also provides corporations with the ability to wrap their line of business applications. And we developed a cloud service for that that's called our MDX service. And that will make you available to wrap those line of business applications with our MDX policy or toolkit, and it will give you several levels of security. So micro VPN is one of them, encryption is one of them, and about 65, I guess, yes. 65 policies to control your applications. So there's no Mac or other tool needs to be used by the administrator. It's all in the cloud. So very easy and quickly to do. On the other hand, if you have developers in your organization that develop in-house applications for you, we have an SDK available. And the developer can onboard that SDK in his development process, and he will get the same capabilities as the MDX toolkit. So that's much earlier in the development stage of the application that our technology can be onboarded. Additional to that, we also support the AmpConfig community. So AmpConfig is a community-driven initiative by all the UEM vendors to provide OS-level security, so MDM is required. And you can set all these type of configurations for your application. So key value pair is sent from the SAMP service to the business application that is compatible with the AppConfig and will provide you similar functionality. Smart access. So we talked about devices, we talked about applications, and we talked about security. And now we want to talk about how you provide some smart access to those applications. And in this case, it's specific to our traditional HDX applications. So our Secure Hub or Workspace app will enumerate also your virtual apps and desktops. But you want to make sure that if a user accesses those HDX applications, that your device is compliant. And with smart access and the integration between Citrix Endpoint Management and Storefront, you can provide that compliancy check. So if a device is not compliant, the user is not allowed to start an HDX application. And next to that, you want, of course, all the data points that you have from your endpoint, from your user, from your application, from your network. You want them to be in a central place. And therefore, we have Citrix Analytics. And Citrix Endpoint Management, part of the Citrix Workspace, will feed into Citrix Analytics also. So automated actions can be set into the Citrix Analytics system to execute on specific variables or conditions that you have set. But Citrix Endpoint Management also has its own actions available. So that's an exclusive list with all actions, user properties, device properties that are available for the administrator to set the controls. So think of health attestation service, the safety net integration of Samsung, and all other integrations. So endpoints, applications, security, connectivity, analytics. Right. Let's have a look quickly on how we can provide a higher level on security with our derived credentials. So in short, derived credential is just another external identity of trust. And that can be implemented on several ways, but at least Citrix supports interseed and the end trust variables of that.
Right. Okay.
So, I'm on.
Awesome.
Can you guide us through the experience?
Thank you. So, so we talked about like how Citrix Endpoint Management, is well connected with the Citrix Workspace, and a few things that we add value or are integrated on the security front. So I'm going to now walk you through on the experience end of the things. The first thing is a video I want to play on the integration of the enrollment workflow between Citrix Endpoint Management and Citrix Workspace. The idea is that if you have a Citrix Workspace, which is the new Citrix Receiver app, if you have the Citrix Workspace app and you want to actually install mobile apps on that and say want to get single sign-on onto those apps, that requires MDM, right? We can't do single sign-on without MDM. So what Citrix will enable is that via that Citrix Workspace app, you will be walked through a workflow to actually download Secure Hub and then get single sign-on onto to the Secure Hub, which is the anchor or the agent app of the Citrix Endpoint Management, and via that get access to secure mail, share file, all other Citrix apps, and even other third-party apps. And you can get single sign-on to all of those if you so choose. So here is the video. So as you see, I'm just launching Citrix Workspace app. I'm going to sign in with the tenant discovery, username, password, can set up multi-factor auth or Touch ID in this case. Now, I'm inside my workspace and I look at the apps that are assigned to me. I see a couple of mobile apps. I want to pause here. The prompt that you see, it says to access mobile apps, enroll into Secure Hub. Now, when it says enroll into Secure Hub, it doesn't mean that you would now be left alone and you have to like get another app from the App Store, find out what should be the credentials, none of that. So the experience here is that we will actually give you single sign-on onto this app. All you have to do is, there are certain prompts like on iOS that we cannot take away. The user need to click on. So as soon as you click on those, like, yes, I want this, yes, I want this, you'll be walked through the single sign-on of Secure Hub. Flip to Secure Hub, the credentials are passed on. You can just click continue and your device enrolls. And here you see the apps, Secure Mail and Secure Web, as well as Share File that can come down to the device. And you can get single sign-on to those as well, if you would like. Now, this was the Workspace app enrollment. I'm going to move forward, and we want to talk about the integration with Intune. So, as you know, there's an Intune app protection container, which has all the Office 365 apps. Now, this is if we have to run our apps in this Intune app protection container, that means we have to actually embed this Intune SDK into our apps. The idea is that all these apps can work seamlessly with cut, copy, paste allowed between those. Now, the other thing is that if you're an Intune customer and you want to be able to access intranet or be able to wrap your line of business apps, but still get the micro VPN capability, which is, by the way, exclusive to Citrix. If you really need to do that, then there is an availability today to embed the Citrix micro VPN, the SEM micro VPN, into the Microsoft apps. It is already embedded today with the Intune browser, but you can also wrap the third-party line of business apps that you may have and use the same SDK. So this is another partnership that we have, and again, to enhance the experience that if you're using Office 365 apps on your mobile phones, iOS or Android, you're able to seamlessly move data. And by the way, this kind of integrations already exist on Windows 10. So the Windows Information Protection kind of makes that possible. And the integration I just showed you is on iOS and Android. And some of the pieces of these integrations are still exclusive. Moving forward, I want to talk a little bit about Secure Mail. And as we all know that a mail app is the anchor app for a lot of our productivity. It drives our productivity, and a lot of workflows are enabled through the mail app. So here's a screen that shows you how you get feeds from your manager, or I call it manager feeds. Jeroen doesn't like it. It's like I'm checking my manager's email, but this is the mails that are coming from my manager, or some important meeting invites for the day. It's like the highlight of my day today. The other thing we added recently is being able to see the organization structure. So if I want to check out on my mobile phone that here's my colleague, who are his peers, what is the reporting hierarchy? We earlier had to log into Outlook and look into this. Today you can just simply open Secure Mail app, tab on the organization tab, and click. And as you can see that you can see here, my manager, my direct reports, my peers, and you can see that for anyone in the organization. And the last, one of my favorites is, I always resent when I have to send pictures or attach multiple attachments. My challenge was that, I look into the gallery, I find the picture I need to attach, and then after attaching one, it will take me back, and I have to repeat it. So now I can attach all the ones that I want to attach by the single tap, and it will attach multiple attachments in one go, and I don't have to go back. It just small little enhancement, but it really helps in driving the user productivity, and basically curbs my urge to delay my work and go back to the desktop and start my workflow from there. I can pretty much do everything now that I would have to do on a computer. The last piece of the secure mail that we're very excited to talk about is focused inbox. So focused inbox is like an intelligent inbox. It is categorizing your emails in a focused as well as other category. It's just a view in secure mail. It is not changing anything in Outlook for you, but it is a view which is available across all your devices that you have secure mail set up on. Once you categorize the emails and you don't like one of these categorizations, you can simply tap on the email and say that, hey, I want to move it to the other because this is not as important to me. And we will ask you a question. Secure mail will ask you a question that why do you think this should be moved from other to, say, focused? Is it because of the sender, or because of the subject, or because of the content? So the idea is that when I say the secure mail running on your device, this is the data that doesn't get shared with us. This is the device level capabilities. This is not being shared with Citrix, right? This is on the device with secure mail for you. This is just learning. So there are algorithms built into it, and those algorithms learn from the user behavior. It is different for every user. So the classifications of the similar emails, depending upon the user experience, will look different for everyone. And if you don't like it, if it's just too annoying, you can switch it off as well. All right. Last piece on the experience side is around single sign-on for your virtual apps and desktop. So Jeroen a little bit earlier talked about smart access, right? So in smart access is that if your device is compliant, you can get access onto your virtual apps and desktops. Here is how that access is enabled also through single sign-on. So really, in one place on your mobile device, if you have Secure Hub installed and you want to launch your virtual apps and desktops, you have not yet moved to the workspace or cloud experience, you can experience this thing, the single sign-on capability today. Actually, this is the most excitement I have around mobile SSO. So when I say mobile SSO, it means on mobile, single sign-on to native mobile apps, web apps, SaaS apps, intranet apps. Here's an example of actually a cloud app, Slack. Let's play it. All right. So as I tap on the app, it asks me to install. So as you can see, this app is actually not installed on the device yet. It's getting installed. You can see the Slack icon over here. It's getting installed. As I tap it open, it will ask me to enter the the realm or the tenant. The reason it is asking right now is that we're running a kind of a dev environment, but when this is public, this will not ask for this. It will simply ask that do you want a SAML login, and you will get a single sign-on onto this. Sign in, get off these notifications, and done. Perfect. Here goes my Slack. And the same, obviously, mobile SSO on the public store apps is actually the most trickiest piece. Obviously, we have been doing the access to your intranet, your web-based single sign-on, all sorts of SAML logins for a long time. But this is new. This is brand new. It just came out. Well, coming out.
Yeah, coming out.
All right. So the last pillar of Citrix Workspace and how Citrix Endpoint Management is deeply tied into it is the choice. So we offer the choice of multiple platforms. So all sorts of iOS, Android, Linux, Chrome, tvOS, macOS, you name it. Even Alexa for Business, we support it. In terms of what kind of devices you bring, now we talked about the BYO, organizations allow all sorts of different devices, mobile phones, tablets, different form factors, different kinds of ownerships. We support all of those. We also have a lot of security partners. So we know that Citrix is not the only solution you guys use, and we try to integrate today with, you already heard on the stage today, David talking about different identity integrations, cloud hosting, Ping, Google Identity, Okta Identity. We already support Azure. From the security partners of SIEM, we support Wandera, Symantec, Sandblast, Tango, Zimperium, from the mobile threat defense side, as well as telecom expense. And the idea is that we want to offer a unified experience of all your apps and desktops, and be it mobile apps, no matter which kind of app or desktop it is, as well as your files at one place where it is not just an aggregation, but it's actually a place where work gets done. So you saw the keynote today talking about the feeds and tasks and notification that is uniform across all platforms. And similarly, a unified admin experience through Citrix Cloud. You don't actually have to have all your workloads in the cloud. You can use Citrix Cloud today as a control plane without moving all your workloads to the cloud. And this is simply a summary, just an eye chart of all we discussed today on the security, experience, and choice. And I'm very excited today to talk about Josh and OneOak. Josh, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in here. Let me just pull this chair a little bit here and make sure that everyone can see you and we're not hidden behind. All right. How are you doing today, Josh?
I'm doing all right.
All right. Oh, you haven't had the beers yet?
No, not yet.
Good. Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what OneOak does.
Okay, so OneOak, we're in the energy industry in Oklahoma. We are a midstream company that transmits natural gas through pipelines, basically north of the country all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. Great.
And you're a systems analyst at OneOak.
Yes. Yeah, I have responsibilities for Zen Mobile, Citrix Endpoint Management, and Citrix Files environment, as well as other areas of Citrix. We've got a Zen app deployment with Zen Desktop. We use just about every Citrix product.
Wow, that's great. So tell us a little bit more about your experience with Citrix UEM and how it fits into your vision of workspace.
Sure. So our UEM journey started with a business user bringing a mobile app to us and asking, how do we get this to our people? So we started, investigating that. We already had a strong partnership with Citrix, and so we began deploying. Started out as a POC, and then we built out UEM. What that turned into is about 3,000 corporate iPads. We've now got up to about 20 custom apps, as well as some public store apps that we deploy as well. And today that accounts for about 2/3 of our company uses the mobile platform to do their work.
Wow. Do you have some common challenges that you face that we help you solve in general, or other things that you want to share with us?
Yeah, so Zen Mobile was one piece of our full client strategy.
Right.
Our team is focused on making the end user experience really good.
Right.
And we had actually had a presence with XenApp for well over a decade. That was, presenting those published applications was our core, core utilization of Citrix. But after we finished our Windows 7 upgrade rollout, several years ago, we sat down and did a post-mortem and talked about what our big challenges were. And most of our challenges were maintaining the user profile, essentially, their data, their settings, and also being able to install their applications on their new operating system. So five years ago or so, we made a decision that we weren't going to let that happen when the next operating system rollout took place. So we actually started working with Citrix, looking at all the products and the things we had access to. We started basically making a strategy to decouple the user from all the components of that experience. So we've been working to build our application catalog through publishing apps, through using SCCM for our traditional installs. We also took our user data and behind the scenes did a local folder redirect into their share file account. So that if their hard drive dies or they move to a new computer, then their data follows them. Did the same thing with some profile management and basically got to the point where now I can walk up to any device that I choose and most of, if not all of my stuff is right there ready to go or will be within just a short period of time.
That's great, that's great. I know you mentioned about embarking upon the modern management journey as well soon for Windows 10, and that excites OneOak as well. Any thoughts around that?
Yes, absolutely. So right now we're pretty mature in our iOS management. We've also enabled our users to use Android for their personal devices in our store, but we're actively looking at modern management for Windows 10 and are doing testing right now as we speak. We're excited about that, the benefits that we get from changing the way that we image our devices today. Every computer lands in one place in our headquarters and someone manages it or images it, and then it's shipped out to the end user. Right. And we're excited about the potential of using autopilot in tandem with UEM to get that, get the user's devices out to them sooner.
Right, that's great. So yeah, this was very enlightening. Do you have any advice and words of wisdom throughout that you've been with Citrix using different products as well as with Citrix Endpoint Management? Yeah, I really got two. One is stay close to your sales engineer. Our sales engineers have been critical in helping us understand the capabilities and pointing us in the right direction. The other is to identify those key stakeholders in the business. We've identified those outside of our team within IT as well as business leaders throughout the company across multiple practices, a very, very diverse group of people. And we actively go to them on a regular basis asking for feedback. I'm at a place where I'm a few tiers removed from the everyday phone calls when people have problems. So that's having those key people is a good way for me to get direct feedback and critical feedback to know if things are going well or if they're not. Awesome. That's great. Well, thank you so much, Josh. And we'll hang around here. I think that's all the content we had, but we still have a bunch of time. We're happy to take questions and dive into, I've never had this much time left in my session, so I'm happy to talk about any questions you guys may have. Let's see. Come on, somebody gets to ask. If not, we're getting back. There we go. Yes, sir. So lost device processes the... Yes. Okay. So the question is that if a user loses the device, what's the process of either what can be done from the administrative perspective, right? So if I get that right, I think we can obviously send notifications. You can clear or send a notification for changing the passcode. You can wipe the device remotely. You can even set a factory wipe command remotely. So all of that is possible over the air. There are other things you can do as well, like mark like block the usage on the identity side. So then we are moving outside the realms of just Citrix Endpoint Management as we tie in all the products, and we know, like, in one device you have access to pretty much everything. And if someone has that unlocked and that that device is missing, literally you can block access to their content as well, blocking their virtual apps and desktop session as well. All of that is available today.
Yeah. And
sure.
Yeah, and to add to that, of course, the user first needs to contact the organization to notify that their device is lost. So there are two options there. They call the help desk, and that information can be populated in the workspace or in Secure Hub, wherever you want. But the user also has a self-help portal. Yes. So he can go to the self-help portal and mark the device as lost, and it can be locked. So maybe the user lost it in his house, so that wouldn't be necessary to fully wipe the device. So it's temporarily locked, and it can unlock the device again when it's been found. You can even send some notifications to it, so make it ring or make a noise, so that the user has an indication where it's in the house. So that's the basic start of it. Also, what's good to mention is that every application that has been wrapped with our MDX or SDK technology, that gives you the ability to completely wipe the container of that application. So you have a selective wipe instead of a full wipe. With fully MDM managed devices, it's mostly a full wipe of the device, unless you use app config applications. You can select the wipe.
So full wipe is like the factory reset, and selective wipe is that everything corporate goes away.
And the thing is, with full wipe, when somebody recovers your device, you're not owning the device anymore. So you need to do something with the Google search options for your account, or the Apple options that provide in the iCloud service.
Cool.
Does that answer your question? Okay.
Awesome. All right. Let's see. Sorry, yes, sir. Like the security assessment on the device. So yes, we detect whether the device is jailbroken or rooted, right? And basis that, we can block access to everything. And these are automated rules that are already put into the system. Now, there are other things that can go wrong with the device, which may not be registered as jailbroken or rooted, right? So that is like pure security play. So in that, we generally call it mobile threat defense, right? So mobile threat defense is where Citrix partners with the likes of like Wandera, Skycure, Zimperium. We actually recently launched a solution called Secure Web Gateway as part of Citrix Access Control, which is inbuilt into the Citrix Workspace app as well. So going forward, it is actually coming natively to the devices as well. And it will look at the traffic that the user is hitting, the web traffic. But that capability is not today for mobile phones. It is coming. So to answer your question and summarize what I said, for iOS, Android devices, the information around jailbroken and rooted, we capture that from the device and we can block access. Anything beyond that, like some malicious profile has been installed, we integrate with partners, which you would need to have subscription to that service. We'll integrate with them. If that service tells us that there's something wrong going on, we can again trigger some workflows to block access.
Yeah, and to add to that, on the security posture of the device, we integrate with the MTDs, we also provide whitelisting and blacklisting of applications, so you as an organization can define which applications are used on a corporate-owned device. And if you take it even a step further on corporate or personal-owned devices with Android Enterprise, you can shift it into the work profile, for example. So you have a granular control of which profile you use.
So I think what we're trying to say here is that there are certain security guardrails that you can push down to prevent certain incidents. So like we will obviously never recommend that you would just, unless it is a company-owned device, we'll never recommend that you only push down a whitelist of like 10 apps that the user can install, because then if they want to use Instagram or if they want to use YouTube or anything, those will get blocked. You can choose to have a selective apps that you want to allow. And similarly, you can also block the use of native browser and ask them to use the Citrix Secure Web. And that way, you can whitelist or blacklist the web apps that they're actually able to hit. Similarly, you can also block certain Wi-Fis that, hey, you're not able to join free Wi-Fis. Only Wi-Fis that are secured. So you can do some security guardrails which can improve the posture of security on that device. But for like a full-blown, like an antivirus solution is something that Citrix does not offer. We have to partner with others. All right.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.